So, relationships. I'm going to talk a little bit about relationships. When I talk about relationships, I really want to point out that the word relationship, often we think about a partner, a loving partner, someone like a boyfriend or girlfriend, but this really goes for everyone in your life. The relationship you even have with strangers, friends, family, maybe it is your partner, just acquaintances, anyone in your life, the relationship you have to that person, because relationship is really about how we interrelate with one another and the people around us and the outside world. You can have a relationship to things that are not even people. So, like, what's my relationship to food, or what's my relationship with myself, or my home life, or my fitness. So, what's your relationship with that thing? But we are going to be talking about relationships in terms of people. So, something that I have come to learn is that when it comes to relationships, ultimately the relationships that you have with other people in your life, they are only really as good as the relationship you have with, you guessed it, yourself. They are only as good as the relationship you have with yourself. So, what does that really mean? If you sit and you are completely alone by yourself, who are you to yourself? How do you treat yourself? How do you talk to yourself? What is your internal world like? Does it feel good in there? Does it not really feel that great? Is it somewhere that you want to hang out and spend time in? Because that really says a lot about you and the way you're going around in life and the way that you're projecting yourself onto other people. It's not often that we spend a lot of time really observing our inner world and our inner environment, but this is actually the most important place because it's where we reside. It is literally where I have spent my whole life. It is where I will spend my whole life. I am inside this vessel, my body, and this is where my soul will spend the rest of my time in this current place in space. So it's really important that we observe our inner environment and how we're feeling, because if you're not 100% and then you go out into the world and you start talking to other people, that really does reflect to other people. People can sense it. There are a lot of people who can really just sense energy, and it's not something that we really talk about very much, but you can really sense a vibe when you tap into it and you're around someone. You can sense where that person's at and how their energy is without even talking to them. So it's so important that your energy is in the right place and you're giving out the right vibes, because even if you don't say it and you don't act a certain way, people can sense things about you. And in the nature of the universe, it will bring things back to us, what we are emitting in terms of our frequency. So if I'm giving off the frequency, this is just an example because I literally just did a previous video about trusting the nature of the universe and like trusting people around you. If I'm giving off, if inside I don't really trust myself and I don't trust the world around me, all that I'm going to seek out and experience from other people and the world around me is examples of a world and people that I cannot trust. You basically seek out your belief system. So if I did not trust people in general, and that's just an affirmation that I live by, often in that situation you will then go out and without even knowing it, you're seeking people who are bringing that to you, who are showing you that you can't trust them. You're attracting untrustworthy people. So, really, the relationship I have with myself is the relationship that I have with other people, because we're always acting out from our inner world and from what's going on inside. Many of us are really carrying around really old traumas that we have solidified for a long period of time. With these, when we talk to people from day to day, we're acting out these traumas without even knowing it. So, for example, I might go out and have a conversation with a friend, and they might bring up something about, let's say they bring up a conversation about their partner lying to them. that might invoke a response in me that really makes me feel like passionate about that situation, and I might get really offended, and it might upset me that that happened to them, and I might be like, I can't believe they lied, and it might really, really hurt me. Where is that hurt coming from? That hurt is coming from a trauma within me that I've had in my past that is triggering me, and then that impacts the way that I then react externally to my friend. That is what we are doing all the time. I feel like it's probably most prominent in our partnerships and in our intimate relationships, because those are really the people that we spend the most time around. It's with my partner that I get exposed to my insecurities and my traumas the most, because that person is with me all the time and that person is comfortable saying what they want to say to me. Whereas someone that I meet just very briefly, or like a friend or someone in the workplace, you're more polite and professional, and even though you do still act out your traumas and insecurities in that environment, you might not vocalize them in the same way. So really, it's in those intimate relationships that we can really start to self-reflect. If my partner says something to me and it triggers a response that is quite strong within me, and I feel emotions that are quite overpowering, or maybe I feel them in certain parts of my body, maybe there's a burning in my chest when I receive some kind of comment about something that I'm doing, that is ultimately a reflection of what's going on inside me, and something that I really need to heal and I really need to take a look at internally, because that will then result me in acting out of fear, in acting out of judgment, insecurity, touching a nerve in some place. It really does happen every single day in all of our relationships, and when you're not in touch with yourself or your internal world, it's easy to think that that's not going on for you. And you might hear this and think of some major moments. Maybe someone had a fight with you and you can really feel like some pain, but it's even in like the smallest of interactions. It also comes down to the point of value and how much you are really valuing yourself. Because if you're not valuing yourself, you're in turn, like I was saying before about the energy and the vibe, without even saying it, people can sense that, and then you will attract people that are going to do things like take advantage of you and not value you. And that's just without even saying anything. We vocalize and talk to others all the time when we're with other people, so they can even just sense it from the words that you vocalize. So really what we need to be doing is creating a really strong and healthy relationship internally with ourselves. Because if you think about it, someone that is really happy and strong and present in themselves and has such a loving relationship with themselves, those are the people that attract and have really amazing relationships. If you are a wounded, traumatized, and upset, insecure person, and you don't have a very good relationship with yourself, and you're not connected to yourself, how are you going to have that with others? It's already challenging to connect with yourself in the right way and develop a good relationship with yourself. When you're looking in the mirror every day, do you wake up thinking like, I look amazing, I am amazing, I am divine energy, I am light, I am life? Most people don't. Most people wake up and they, like, even without really tuning into it, they think a lot of negative things about themselves. So how do you expect other people to? You're not going to be radiating love and beauty and light and positivity if you don't have that within yourself first. You just simply cannot have good relationships in your life if you don't have a good relationship with yourself. So you really need to sit and reflect on how your relationships are looking in your life. How are you reacting with people day to day? How are you reacting with your loved ones? How are you reacting with your friends and anyone present in your life? If you feel like they're pretty solid and they're pretty good, I bet you have a pretty neat internal, I mean neat's probably not the right word, but I mean neat as in like you have a pretty good internal environment. But if you feel like you're in a place where they're not the best, maybe You have some work to do internally first. And whenever I'm in a situation where I have an issue with anyone else around me, any of my relationships in the world, I first up just look at myself. I'm like, what am I doing here that I could be improving on? What is that really showing me about myself? What is that showing me within myself that I'm not very good at? Maybe for me, it's confrontation. Maybe if you have an issue, it's about the fact that you could go straight directly to that person and say, hey, like, I really want us to be able to do this. I really want this to be different. Vocalizing what's going on to that person honestly, rather than me just complaining about them behind their back and not actually going and directly telling them. That is something that's going on within me, and when we can fix the relationships we have with ourselves, which are the most important relationships you will ever have, the relationship with yourself, that is when you won't even have to put in the work with the world around you. It will just blossom and you'll find the right people, and those people and the relationships you have with them will be harmonious, because we will all just be so present with ourselves, present in the moment. Nothing is really a problem when you're present. Anyway, another thought for the day. Thank you for watching.